You were always the first to look away.
I walked into a police station to report a crime and found out I was already dead. Same name, same face, same house. So tell me, if I'm standing here, then whose body did they find in my home? I never imagined I would walk into a police station and find out I was already dead. I need to report something, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The officer behind the desk didn't even look up at first. Name? Emily Carter. His fingers stopped moving. Slowly, he raised his head and stared at me like he'd just seen a ghost. That's not possible. A cold feeling crept into my chest. What do you mean? Without saying a word, he turned his monitor toward me. And there I was, my picture, my name, missing, presumed dead. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I need to see my house, I told them. They didn't want to let me go, but I insisted. The yellow police tape wrapped around my home like it was hiding something ugly, something final. The moment the door opened, the smell hit me. Metallic, heavy, blood. My knees almost gave out, but I forced myself to stay standing. The living room looked like a crime scene straight out of a nightmare. Furniture knocked over, glass shattered across the floor, and dark stains everywhere. It looked violent. It looked real. It looked like someone had died there. "Do you remember any of this?" the officer asked. I shook my head slowly. No, I wasn't even here. He exchanged a look with another officer. "Your husband says you were." That stopped me. What? He told us you came home that night. I felt something shift inside me, a small, sharp crack in everything I thought I understood. They brought Daniel in. The moment he saw me, his face drained of color. For a second, he looked terrified, then suddenly relieved. "Emily," he said, almost breathless, "you're alive." I didn't move toward him. "You told them I was here," I said. He avoided my eyes. "You were supposed to be." A strange silence filled the room. "What does that mean?" I asked. He rubbed his hands nervously. "You said you were coming back that night." "I changed my mind." "You didn't tell me that." Something about the way he said it didn't feel right. Not angry, not worried, just wrong. "Daniel," I said slowly, "whose blood is in the house?" He didn't answer, and that silence said everything. Hours later, they ran the tests. I sat alone, replaying every moment over and over again. Something wasn't lining up. None of it made sense. When the sheriff finally walked in, his face told me this wasn't going to be simple. "The blood," he said carefully, "is not yours." I let out a shaky breath. "Then whose is it?" He looked straight at me. "It's Daniel's." The world seemed to tilt. "That's not possible," I whispered. Daniel was alive. I had just spoken to him. I had looked him in the eyes. Slowly, I turned toward the observation window, but the room behind the glass was empty. My heart started pounding. "Where is he?" I demanded. The sheriff frowned. "Who?" "My husband." "Ma'am," his voice softened, "Daniel Carter was found dead in your house." I felt like I was falling, but there was no ground to hit. "No," I said, shaking my head. "That's not true. I just talked to him." "You couldn't have." "But I did." My voice cracked, echoing through the room. The sheriff stepped closer. "Then who did you speak to?" That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face, Daniel's face, but something about it felt off. Too calm, too controlled, like he was pretending, like he was wearing someone else's life. The next morning, I went back to the house, alone. The police thought I was in shock. Maybe I was, but I knew one thing for certain. Something had been in that house with me, something that didn't belong. The silence inside felt heavier than before, like the walls were hiding something, watching, waiting. I walked slowly into the living room, stepping carefully around the dried blood. That's when I noticed something. The mirror. It was slightly crooked. I stared at it, trying to remember if it had always been that way. It hadn't. I stepped closer and gently pushed it. It moved. Behind it was a narrow opening, a hidden space. My heart started racing. Every instinct told me to leave, but I didn't. I stepped inside. The air was cold, still, wrong. The passage was narrow, barely wide enough to move through. And then I saw it. A body lying on the ground, motionless. I already knew who it was. This time, there was no doubt. Daniel, the real Daniel. A sound behind me, soft, a footstep. My body froze. Slowly, I turned around, and there he was, standing in the doorway. Daniel, or something that looked exactly like him. He smiled. "You weren't supposed to find this," he said calmly. My voice barely came out. "Who are you?" His smile didn't fade. "Someone who needed your life." Everything snapped into place. The fight, the timing, my disappearance, the blood. "If I'd come home that night," I whispered. He nodded slightly. "It would have been perfect." My hands trembled. "You killed him, and you were next." The way he said it, so casually, made my skin crawl. "You look just like him," I said. "People don't look closely," he replied. "They see what they expect." He stepped closer. I stepped back. "You should have stayed gone," he said softly. That's when I ran. I don't remember grabbing the knife. I don't remember screaming. Everything became noise and movement and fear. All I remember is the end. Him on the floor, not moving, this time for real. When the police arrived, I was sitting beside him, covered in blood, again. But now there were answers. They found the hidden passage, they found the real Daniel, and they found the truth. The man who had been living in my house wasn't anyone from Ashwood. No records, no connections. It was like he had appeared out of nowhere, just to take someone else's life. They ruled it self-defense. They said I was lucky, but I don't feel lucky. Because sometimes, late at night, I still hear his voice, calm, soft, right behind me. "You weren't supposed to survive." And the worst part? They never figured out how long he had been watching us or why he chose me.